Hello once again, Antony here with a review of Bhaag Milkha Bhaag, known in English as Run Milkha Run, which I also saw yesterday at the Kino Babylon. This was released in India on July 12, 2013. It was directed by Rakesh Omprakash Mehra. It was produced by Rajiv Tandon, Raghav Bal, Maiterye Dasgupta, Madhav Roy Kapoor, Rachvin Narulla, Shyam P.S., Navmeet Singh, and P.S. Bharati. It was written by Prasoon Joshi. The music was composed by Shankar Ehsan Loy. It was based on the novel entitled The Race of My Life, written by Milkha Singh and Zonia Sadwalka. The cinematographer was Binod Pradhan, and it starred the talents of Farhan Akhtar, Japtesh Singh, Pavan Malhotra, Yograj Singh, Art Malik, Divya Dutta, Misha Shafi, Prakash Raj, Chinmay Chandranshu, Chandran Gill, KK Raina, Dalip Tahil, Rebecca Breeds, Sonam Kapoor, Jas Bhatia, Dev Gill, and Nawab Shah. Now, prior to watching this film, I have never heard about the real life athlete who was also the main character of this film, Milkha Singh. Though his reputation of being one of India's finest athletes, basically specializing in track and field, and also holding the title of a world record breaker of someone who was able to run 400 meters in a 400-meter dash, was definitely a name that was very new to me until I researched a little bit about this person and found out that he definitely lived such a very awesome and very interesting legacy. And I never heard about the director before, but it's safe to say that I knew that I was definitely in for a ride when I saw the poster of this film, including the lead actor who was Farhan Akhtar, and pretty much fell in love with this actor just at first sight, just by watching that physique that he had for this character. And I was quite interested. And by the time I watched this film in its entirety, I was completely blown away by everything this film had to offer. Starting off with the story, this was definitely a story that was very much engaging, exciting, enthralling, and it was just so thrilling from beginning to end. Everything was so well woven considering the life that Milkha Singh has led, from his excavation from his native Pakistan to basically finding his new home in India and his new family in the army to becoming the athlete that he is well known to this very day, and basically seeing a lot of trials and tribulations coming along his way, and to see this resilient spirit fight with such great and noble intention and with great fire in his eyes. That is definitely a great example of just watching someone go from being a kid who was so headstrong and so resilient in his own special way to someone who's also witnessed the ravages of his hometown, to someone who had to make a choice to really fight for himself, to a free, independent spirit who may not always sit well with a lot of the villagers, to someone who ended up joining the army, to being a world class athlete in his own special way, but who's also faced the tribulations of his past. So it's really quite an engaging story. It combines a biographical drama with elements of romance, a little bit of comedy, great amounts of human drama, and a little bit of slice of life, and lots of tension and action to really back the story up with such pizzazz and such great interest, and the cinematography is very well done. You could really tell that everyone behind the scenes really knew how to pay great attention to detail, whether it be the movements of the characters, all the effects, and all the lighting. Everything was just so well done that it just screams pizzazz, screams great amounts of color, and screams a great deal of dedication and passion, really melting in a great cauldron of ideas and bursting into this very film. The soundtrack really knows how to keep up with the story and make the story very exciting and really make it stand out in its own special way. It's a great eclectic combination of Bollywood scores with some classical pieces, with great orchestral pieces which really heighten the intensity of certain moments, to some jazz and to a little bit of rock and roll, to great moments of quieter moments in terms of a few instrumentals. There is a great eclectic mix of different types of music, and it is definitely phenomenal of just how everything is mixed together, and it just explodes with pizzazz, vivacity, and you could really feel it surging through your veins and blood as if though it's just surging all over the place. It left me breathless every time I heard the music just play on screen. I was completely immersed from beginning to end. And a little bit more details about the cinematography. Speaking of details, we even get to see that fine sculpt of Milkha Singh's torso, and it is absolutely glorious, especially when he jump ropes. You could really see that great amount of detail to his torso, and it is just artistically well done. And talking about the characters is basically talking about Milkha Singh and his journey to becoming one of the greatest athletes of all time. When Milkha was a kid, he started out as quite impetuous, quite resilient, yet very charming in his own special way. And when you even see his hometown being ravaged by a lot of soldiers, you really see the anguish and the trauma that affects him as a person, which is not an easy thing for someone who is 11 years old to live through. And by the time he enlists for the army, you really get to see that tough and strong nature develop. And you really get to see him fight back when oppressed. And you really have a strong impression that this is definitely someone who has to carry his own burdens and really make the best out of every situation, no matter how crappy they are. And he went from being a strong-minded and really resilient and spunky young kid to an equally spunky young adult who is not afraid to take chances and not afraid to really live life the way he wants it. This is definitely a man I definitely look up to. And when you see him in his breaking point, you definitely feel sad for him, because every time he slapped himself, it's like you want him to succeed and you want to give the guy a big fat hug. And when you see him training with his coach, you feel a sense of empowerment. You feel a sense of urgency, and you want him to triumph. You want him to win. And you could really see it all come alive because his personality is unique, brimming with quirks, determination, and a never give up attitude, which I find very endearing. And the other characters do absolutely fabulously in their own parts as well. We start off with Gurudev Singh, who starts off as rather hard-nosed, but he warms up to Milkha and becomes like a father figure to him. And he pretty much becomes almost like a surrogate father to Milkha after what happened to his biological father, during the big scary violence. The other great figure in Milkha's life was his coach, Ranveer Singh, who was also like a father slash uncle figure to him. In fact, these two gentlemen, Gurudev and Ranjiv, are like, well, basically uncles to him, to the point where they feel like two daddy figures in Milkha's life, leading him to the straight and narrow and guiding him, pushing him to his full potential, and making sure that he does not slack off, yet really see great amounts of potential in Milkha. And that's why I definitely love about both Gurudev and Ranjiv. Then we go to his older sister, Isri. She had to deal with a lot of crap just to go from point A to point B. And every time you see her, you really get the sense that she does care for her younger brother and she wants the best for him. And even though she has a small appearance for this film, I have to say that Stella was also a really good character because she's a very feisty and very fun-loving young character who is also brimming with great amounts of personality. And Samprit was also a great character in his own way, mostly because he has a very fun-loving personality and is a very loyal friend to Milkha. And then we go to Mahinda, who's also a very great friend to Milkha. And the one character who does have a great presence on screen is none other than the Prime Minister, who was Jawaharlal Nehru. Every time I saw this character on screen, his presence was so demanding and so commanding that I was practically immersed every time he was on there. The characters do a phenomenal job at really being multidimensional and really seeing that there is a lot to them that meets the eye, and there are a lot of great facets about them that really make them as human and exciting as possible. The star of the show is without a doubt Farhan Atkar, who does a very great job embodying Milkha with that godlike physique, which reminds me of an Apollo, with that godlike countenance, that nice build, but has the strength and agility of a panther. You could really tell that this actor, this multi-talented, versatile thespian, gave it his all, even preparing for this film physically and mentally. That's just how strong, determined, and capable Mr. Akhtar really is when portraying Milkha in his adult years. Then we go to Milkha in his younger years, played with a great amount of resilience by Japtesh Singh, who injects a lot of charm and likability to this character. The same can be said about Chinmay Chandraunshu as his performance as the younger Samprit, thus injecting a great sense of vitality and innocence to this character. Rebecca Breeds injects a great amount of likability, charm, and a little bit of minxishness in her portrayal of Stella. But without a doubt, in the rank of supporting characters, the three gentlemen who really stole the show in terms of supporting characters were none other than Pavan Malhotra, Yograj Singh, and Dalip Tahil, each giving these gentlemen a great sense of authority, strength, lovability, and just a great amount of fatherly presence. You could really get immersed every time these gentlemen were on screen. And special kudos also has to go to Divya Dutta for her warm and loving portrayal of Milkha's older sister, Isri Kaur, and even Sonam Kapoor's charming portrayal of Bira, Milkha's first love interest. So I'm not gonna mince words here. All of these thespians did absolutely fantastically in these roles. So there is no mincing words here. This is one of the greatest films I have ever had the chance of viewing, and you know damn well what I'm gonna give this film. A well deserved 5 out of 5 stars. Everyone did magnificently, from the director to the producers to the writer to everyone involved in the cast, and even the great amount of honor and respect they have for the great Milkha Singh was very evident in this film. So kudos to the director, Mr. Rakesh Omprakash Mehra, and all the actors, especially the likes of Farhan Akhtar, Japtej Singh, Pavan Malhotra, Yogrash Singh, Art Malik, Diva Dutta, Dalip Tahil, Jas Bhatia, Dev Gill, and Nawab Shah for doing very fabulously in their said roles. And if you haven't seen this film already, please go check it out. It is a once in a lifetime offer to really see a film that I can honestly consider, in my opinion, to be one of India's greatest masterpieces of all time. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in later for my review of the anime movie Miss Hokusai. So until then, have a great evening, everybody.